Go to show me 10-8. Welcome to the show, guys. It's been a while. It's been a long time since we've been here. And today is very special and exciting because I have a few guests, that I'm really excited about their presence in the show. First of all, just a disclaimer, the opinions and views on this show does not represent my employer. So the Talton State Police Department, the Talton State University, also the Texas A&M system. So this is all my personal opinion and my point of views. With that being said, guys, it's October, and most of you guys, October celebrate Halloween, but just a little awareness. October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and because of that, today we're gonna be talking about that, and I'm super excited. Hey. I'm super excited to have our guests today with us. And a lot of people have been asking me, so why are you always talking about family violence? Why are you so passionate about family violence? First of all, just a quick background on myself is that before I was in the police work, of course, I grew up in a house, and every single time that I teach the civic class, I ask the people in class, okay, who in class have been involved in family violence, or who in class knows somebody that have been involved in family violence, or has a cousin or uncle, whatever you name it. Every single hand goes up. And that's where my passion for domestic violence to bring awareness to it, also to investigate, comes from. So working out of Odessa Police Department, I got to work a lot of family violence cases. And now that I move over here to Stephenville, I really enjoy working with you guys whenever I have a chance, whenever we have classes. Ivy came and she was able. Hi.
Hi.
By the way, I met your husband.
Yes, you do great on the field. I didn't know you were a soccer player.
Just a little something.
That's awesome.
Hey, congrats on a new baby.
Thank you. We're so excited.
Awesome. And by the way, and the reason that I love family violence is because the cases that I work on in the past, I just notice how much, family violence has impact on everything that we do on a daily basis. Going back to, just doing research on mass murders, shootings, mass shootings that happen in the United States. Whenever you start doing research on all of those, down the line, family violence is involved. So if we able to stop that, it will be good for all of us. So being October, not just celebrating Halloween, but also celebrating, domestic violence awareness. I'm just excited. And today I got these three ladies with me, and they will be able to answer all the questions and tell you guys about the service that they provide. Before I ask you guys any question, I would just like for you guys to introduce yourself and what do you do for the Cross Timbers Family Service here in Stephenville, Texas.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Ada Monreal, aka Evie. I am the legal advocate here at Cross Timbers Family Services. I assist with protective orders. I kind of am the first face that if you walk through the door, we do intakes with our clients, and we kind of assess the situation to see if any counseling, if any legal services. We kind of just navigate through that first step. So with protective orders, we do safety planning with our clients, a little bit of DV education. We make sure that they have a safe place to stay. We kind of just go from there and just build a safety plan to make sure that they have all the tools they need, especially if they're in a high-risk situation. I do a lot of court accompaniments too. So if you have a protective order, if you have just a court case that you need some support, I go sit in divorce courts, custody court, like any of that stuff. I'm there to assist with all our clients. We have two high-risk teams that I coordinate. It's our sexual assault response team that we coordinate, and we have meetings quarterly. I'm also a coordinator for the domestic violence high-risk team that's new to single. We track our high-risk DV cases, and that's something new, and it's something that I'm passionate about. And we have the district attorney on our on board. We have county attorney. We have all 3 agencies. So we have Steamboat PD, Sheriff's Department, Charlton PD, and Dublin PD. So there's 4 departments that we work with to track high-risk cases and make sure that there's that safety plans in place. We do a lot of, safety planning. There's so much that we do. It's hard to go over everything, but
It is.
we do a lot of advocacy. So, I mean, there's people that walk in the door that need help with child support. I just finished something, immigration. That's something that people don't know we do. We assist with multiple things. If you are a victim of any crime, basically, we can assist you. So we're really passionate in what we do, and we're so glad that you're passionate, awareness and stuff. And DV is a big part of our agency. So thank you for having us. And I could talk all day.
Hey, that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad.
I am Laura Wilcoxon, and I am one of the staff counselors here at Cross Timbers. I've been here a little over 11 years, and I am a licensed I'm a licensed counselor through the state of Texas, and so I provide therapy and counseling services to all victims of crime, from the youngest, about 5 years oldish, that come here, all the way up to men, women, children, all types of people. So that's what I do.
Awesome.
And I'm Hope Hale. I'm service coordinator here at Cross Timbers. I've been here just on top of a year. I handle all of our agency data and statistics and grant reporting. So because we're grant funded, we're required to report to those grants monthly, quarterly, and yearly, and I handle all those reports. But I also assist our executive director with a lot of event planning and branding and agency awareness and stuff like that. I manage our social media, I manage our website, and I assist with our fundraising efforts. We have several fundraisers a year, so we're always busy, but I do a lot in awareness, and Domestic Violence Awareness Month is this month, so I've been very busy on our social media.
Yeah, I bet.
And mail outs, all sorts of stuff like that. That's me.
That's great. That's great. I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the passion. And you can tell the passion just by the way you guys are talking. I really enjoy that. But one question that a lot of people have, even when I teach, now I'm going to ask you guys, why are you guys so passionate about what you do?
Well, I'll start. I'm a criminal justice major, so it's just something that I've been passionate about, and being a legal advocate, it just falls perfect into what I went to school for. And it's just something I just, each client, you learn something different. You kind of put yourself in their shoes to see, like, what if it was me? Like, what would I do for that if I didn't have the resources or if I didn't have help? And so I'm very passionate because we know that we have the resources and we can help the client. They just need to come in and, seek the help. We're here to help. So that's how I feel. I'm also pregnant, so I'm at crack. But I love what we do, and we have a great team here, and so everybody, it just like we kind of feed off each other. Just as a counselor, we always kind of lean on it. Everything's confidential here, so this is our little circle that we have to kind of keep in. So we kind of, just like you said, we are all passionate about what we do. But I will quit talking and pass on.
I feel passionate because I like to see people really change and their lives change, and I know that things can get better, and I'm try to be positive all the time. But I've seen so many good things happen over the years, and people really break free of abusive relationships. And I've seen people start to take care of themselves and start to feel like they're worthy and that they deserve a healthy relationships. They deserve to be treated with respect, and that they can use their story of what happened to them or what they've gone through to help others, and we've seen people, become volunteers and that have gone through some things in the past, and they use that to, help others. And so I just like to be a part of that. I feel really blessed every day that I get to sit there and be a part of help of somebody,
Of their story.
of their story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and hopefully in a good way, like, you know, that we helped hopefully somehow just by listening. You know?
Pretty much, I mean, your passion also develops over time, you know, as for example, in my case, you know, just working with a lot of child cases, you know, and seeing what, because I grew up in Mozambique, Southeast Africa, you know, we were not rich, anything like that, but like coming here and working with kids in the United States, work as a kids detective and see what they go through, and then compare that with my life. I was like, wow, my life wasn't that bad. You know, I had a great life, even though we didn't have a lot of money, but like I have loving parents, and we have kids over here in the United States with everything material wise. But then whenever it comes to the emotional side, a lot of the kids struggling because they don't have the family love. They don't have the mom and dad that they need. So, you know, passion grows with you as you deal with cases like that. So I know what you're talking about a lot. And
Well,
how,
I really love what I do. I started here as an intern. I got this internship in May of 2020, peak COVID. I just kind of came in because it's what I could get. And I really fell in love with this job. You know, I have always been really passionate about the communication side. I really love public relations and getting out in the public, stuff like that. And I found that this is an area I can use my passion for that in a positive way and not just work at some corporation or work for some company. It's like here I'm using it to actually help people and bring people healing and bring people hope. You know what I mean? And it's really important to me personally because I grew up so blessed, and it feels like it's part of what I need to do. You know, I love helping other people and providing them with these services. It's like Laura W. said, it's amazing to see transformations in lives of these clients.
awesome. So did Hope just say bringing people hope?
I caught that.
So that's great. And another thing is, all of us know that the normal situation that we deal with whenever it comes to domestic violence, the victim takes them minimum 7 times before they actually leave the abusive relationship. You know, by the 8th time they try to leave, you know, something, you know, bad happens. Oh, she gets killed or he gets killed. So one of them. So for somebody who doesn't know that, you know, family member, because it's easy for a family member or friends, you know, to be like, just leave him, just go away. So why is it hard for victims to leave a relationship?
I'm just kidding. So I think there are so many valid reasons why people stay in abusive relationships, first of all, and they're very, very valid and they make sense to that person. You know, when number one, they get caught up in the cycle of violence, and some people aren't really aware that there's like a cycle.
Yes.
And most relationships, even very abusive ones, start out very loving and very, you know, like normal, I guess you could say. And so you do get caught up in that, but then what happens in the cycle of an abusive person, it cycles over to things start increasing tension, things get a little bit worse, and you're like, okay, what's going on? But then there's like usually like a big, you know, type of event, whether it is the worst of the abuse at that time, and something happens, and you know that's maybe the first time they leave. Well, then what happens is it cycles back around. The person may be very loving, they are sorry, they apologize, they go to counseling, or they promise they're going to change and things like that. You maybe have children with this person, and so it kind of cycles back around. It's really easy to get sucked back in, or to feel like you can't get out at that point, and then it just goes back around, and it's really hard to get out of that cycle, even when people around you are trying to help or try to say get out, you know. And there's so many reasons. I think one, you know, a big reason is like those manipulations that happen of you want to believe that they can change or that things are going to get better. And it typically doesn't. It typically gets worse every time you go around, just like you said. And eventually the worst thing that can happen, obviously, is someone getting killed or someone, being seriously hurt. I don't know, that's my 2 cents.
No, which is good. Really good, valid points. So going back to the cycle of violence, can you guys talk a little bit more about that? Because you and I, we know what that is. We know what that entails. But the average person, they were like, what is the cycle of violence? What happens during that time? Because you kind of broke it down a little bit, but just a little bit into detail, because how do they start, like the aggressor as well?
Oh yeah. Well, do you kind of mean like kind of when things start to get abusive, like kind of when starts out like verbal abuse, emotional abuse, that kind of thing?
Yes, because everybody comes in as a Prince Charm at first. So
Well,
they
yeah.
all, it's the greatest guy that I ever met in my life. All of a sudden, what happened
Well,
to?
then things typically over time, they escalate.
Okay.
And it gets worse and worse. And yes, some of those early warning signs are like verbal abuse, control, jealousy, isolation, like isolating you from your family and friends, from your support system. You start doing things like dropping out of school or quitting your job or just quitting your passions, quitting your goals for this person. And it just slowly goes from there until you kind of find yourself a lot of times in a place where they have all the control. Oh, there you go. Okay, I was like, where'd you go?
Oh, my bad.
They're, just kind of, oh, there you go.
Yes, I would just want to, so they have a visual as far as like what we're talking about.
Yes, that's a thing that I use a lot with my clients, when we're trying to understand like what's going on and why this is unhealthy and stuff like that. And I don't know, that's what I would say is just like things kind of start out with these little warning signs, not little, but on the spectrum, it's like minor, you would say. And then, but it just over time, it just escalates and escalates typically, and gets worse.
That's good. That's good. And for families, because I remember working on a highly immigration population, Hispanic population, which, some of them do not speak the language, and they come over here to the United States. Some of them were from like Cuba. We had a lot of Cubans in Odessa, also, Venezuelans, and they did not want to report just because, the language barrier and stuff like that. So if there is a victim who doesn't speak English, do you guys have services to provide for people like that?
So yeah, I'm actually a bilingual legal advocate, but it's just such a hard word to stick all those in there. So I am bilingual, so we do provide services. I mean, I've worked with several clients with U visa. That's something that I kind of am passionate about immigration wise. We have a great relationship with Stephenville PD. They've been amazing with any violent crimes to help with the immigration process for the U visa. So yeah, I always tell people when they come in, like, I'm here to walk you every step of the way. I have all sorts of clients that will call me, hey, can you translate for me? I need to get my daughter in rehab, or hey, and I've sat there for hours translating and making calls and just doing everything, just advocacy for these people, because I know how it is to, well, I don't know how it is because I speak both languages, but my dad's an immigrant. He came over when he was 11 years old, and I have family from Mexico that have been in this country, and so I understand that there is, even now, like, there's language barriers for many people that have been here in this country. They just haven't picked up the English. So I'm very passionate with that. I kind of say I go above and beyond for my clients. Like I said, they come in and I'm able to assist them with even making the simplest reports, just reassuring them that, just because you're not from here, they're not gonna deport you. You're a victim. And so I try to let them know you are a victim, because sometimes in our culture, things are normalized. Domestic violence is normalized. It's okay. You're supposed to, it's normal. It's not okay. And so I try to break that barrier down to make sure that people understand, kind of like she said, healthy relationships, knowing your worth and all that stuff. And people are just, it's generational. So it's hard to change that mindset. But yeah, so yeah, we do offer Spanish services. That's the only language I know, unfortunately, but I can translate something else if y'all.
That's good. That's good. And you just said something about the U visa. There's another visa. I know they exist two types of visas for immigrants.
Right.
You want to share
And
about that and just?
I'm not familiar with any other visa, just because I primarily work with U visa.
With U
That's
visa,
something I've only worked with for. I've been here for 2 years.
Yeah.
I've learned everything. There's something new every time. That
Yes.
There's just a lot to this job. There's always like all these moving parts. So there's definitely other visas out there, but I primarily work, and I have only worked with U visas.
U visa.
But
And who can apply for the U visa? Who is eligible to apply for those?
well, anybody that is working with law enforcement that is attacked, they reported domestic violence, sexual assault, any of those violent crimes. And so they could definitely apply. And like I said, there's a process. We actually work with legal aid, and legal aid has been amazing to work with, especially with immigration. And so we'll have, the client has reported the crime, and then we'll just set them up with legal aid, and legal aid will kind of help them work through the process of getting.
Yeah, and going back to the question that I asked Laura earlier, because some perpetrators, the aggressors, sometimes they use that against the victim. Okay, they can be like, I'll call the immigration, and if you call the police, and they scared, they do not live in the country, they not familiar with our justice system, criminal justice system, and they afraid. So have you encountered anything like that before, Laura?
Oh, for sure. Yes. I think that a lot of abusers will use anything to control or intimidate. And that's what we try to work with victims, to empower them, like to find out their own information, to seek out, and that's the hardest part, is just taking that step out. I know how hard it is to call us. Like, it sounds easy, like, oh, call them,
Oh, yeah.
It's so hard to make that first call or that appointment. It's the unknown, to go and talk to an advocate or a counselor. It's not really that easy, honestly. And so taking that step, though, is so important. And I just really try to get people to see that, especially people that have been in an abusive situation, that you need to get your own information, kind of stop believing everything that he or she tells you. Seek your own resources, and empower yourself, and like she was saying, but yeah, they definitely use that as a kind of control
Leverage,
thing.
control.
Even the children too, like, they'll threaten CPS, or threaten, like, you'll lose your kids, stuff like they won't have a family, they're going to be messed up, they'll grow up without family, stuff like that. Just anything to, like, make you feel bad,
So it goes back to the wheel of power and control. So they're gonna try to use anything to make sure that the person doesn't contact, anybody, doesn't report the abuse that has been going on. So in this area, so what is the easiest way to get a hold of you guys, or to contact you guys, and who can get a service from you guys?
So the best way to contact us is through our hotline or through our office phone. And anyone who receives services, it doesn't matter age, gender, anything like that, as long as
the
they're
money you make, how much money you make.
All of our
anything like
services
that.
are free, so we don't have any kind of
There's no income requirement.
No. But you can either be the victim of a violent crime, or you can be a secondary victim. So
like family member,
household members, stuff like that. So it's not just those that are directly affected. It's
Okay.
their family, their friends, things like that.
That's really good. That's really good. And that's important to know because some people maybe rely on like, I don't make enough money. Oh,
Absolutely.
I wasn't the direct victim, so I may not get the service. Okay. And so I'm a victim of family violence. That's an example. I'm a victim of family violence and I need service, but I don't want to cooperate with a PD, but I still want a service. Can I come and get service from you guys?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Like she was saying, there's certain things that like if you did report, there's certain things like crime victims compensation or things that are like those resources like that maybe aren't as available just because they want that like police report tied to it. But that being said, counseling, like advocacy, or even just like that especially counseling. Everyone has that right to receive that, and there's no requirement of you had to have reported. In fact, that's something we kind of talk about in counseling. Sometimes people are still wrestling with like, should I report it or not?
Mhm.
Do I need to, or what do I need to do? Obviously, any type of child abuse has to be legally reported.
Of course.
But other than that, there's nothing, and we do not pressure anybody to make a report, but we are there. If they want to, we'll help them, we'll go with them, But yeah, it's not a requirement or anything.
That's good.
And
That's
it's
good.
confidential. We can't report anything like on their behalf or something like. It's confidential what they tell us.
That's good. That's really good. And with the new laws, just the one that just passed with the last legislative, have you special like whenever it comes to abortion? I'm not the most perfect person to talk about abortion being a man, but have you guys seen anything different since this new law regarding abortion has passed?
We haven't directly here. I'm sure that they have, like at Choices Clinic or here in town. That's another nonprofit here in town. We haven't so far. I mean, probably it just depends because we're kind of, yeah, we just haven't encountered that issue yet.
Yeah, and something else I want to add is that we don't only, I don't know, service only domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. We have grants that if you're a victim of burglary, arson, bullying, like they said, secondary victims. There's a list. DWI, homicide. If you're a victim of any of those, you could definitely come in, walk in, and receive services also.
Any violent crime.
Yeah. So, and I just wanted to just let people know because they're like, oh, it's only domestic violence. No, those are the 3 things that we kind of work, especially like in domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. But we also have sexual harassment, any of those things. We could definitely work with any client that needs it or wants it. Mm-hmm.
That's really good to know. That's really good information because sometimes people may just think you guys just deal with just victims of family violence, but pretty much you're telling me that any victim or any violent crimes or crimes in general, you guys are able to have different grants to help the person.
Yeah.
And all they got to do is just show up and.
Yeah, I mean, call our office number, which is 254-965-5516.
Say that again.
254-965-5516. And we're here 9 to 5. And after hours, we have a 24-hour crisis hotline. And I don't know that number.
It's 866-934-4357.
Okay.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. I'm excited you guys know that. Man, ladies, I really appreciate your time. I know it was short notice as well, but something that I would like to make sure that we talk about it more with a public, with a community. The more avenues that we have to talk about this, the better it is. Because people start understanding that there is help. There's people who actually care for us, care for our community, care for our well-being. And it takes a special person to do the job that you guys do. And the next thing is for me on my law enforcement side. My advice is for all the law enforcement, all the police officers investigating these crimes, to be friends with y'all, because you guys are great asset. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I didn't know how much of a help you guys are until like I start working this case. Then I was like, wow, let me just call so-and-so. She's gonna give me this amount of, she gonna get me with this person. She gonna help me contact with this person. And it's just great asset. You guys are awesome. But like, you know, a lot of people on this side, especially if you're not a CID, you know, investigations, you patrol don't deal with you guys a lot, you know. CID level, they deal with you guys a lot, and you guys are great assets. So we kind of, one example, if somebody is a victim of sexual assault, what is the first step that you guys take as far as like helping that person when they report to you guys?
A lot of times, the first time we meet with somebody, or I say a lot of the time, it's we meet with them at the hospital. We have a protocol in the community that she was talking about, our sexual assault response team.
Yeah, the SAR team.
Anybody who shows up at the emergency room that has been a victim of sexual assault, they are allowed to have legally have an advocate there to help us. So that's when we come in. We come and we whoever's on call, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever. We come just to kind of meet with them, get their information, support them in the way that we can. That's often how we kind of first encounter somebody. And that's the first step, is just kind of see what are their immediate needs, what do they need ongoing, you know, and just kind of now we've got connected with them right away, you know, whether it be if they're reporting or not, or if they're, you know, whatever it is they need, or counseling kind of ongoing. But then also sometimes we do just have people that maybe it's been a while and they're kind of now they're ready to address what happened, or they're, you know, wanting to talk about it. We have people that come in requesting counseling, and so we just kind of start meet them where they're at, see where they're at in their healing, and we just are there to listen and help any way that we can, you know.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really good. I mean, I've never been a victim of sexual assault, but I can only imagine, you know, being a victim and have to go to the hospital, because some of the victims, they may be scared to tell their family members, and that's when you guys come in and just being that comforting. It's really huge. It helps a lot. And whenever it comes to counseling, which type of counseling do you guys offer?
Well, we have 2 full-time counselors here and a part-time counselor, so we have lots of availability. But it just kind of depends, like where the person's at, you know. But we have a lot of training in trauma focus, you know, addressing the trauma of whatever has happened, you know. We do a lot of things from EMDR, which I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a very good research treatment for trauma. A lot of like cognitive behavioral stuff, things like that. With our kids, we do a lot of art and play type therapy things. So, but all of it kind of focused on resolving the trauma, the effects of the trauma.
Can you repeat that? Because I remember last time I talked to, what's her name? She just got married and moved to.
Oh, Brittany, yeah.
Brittany, yes. She told me about it and I forgot. What is it again?
Oh, the EMDR?
EMDR.
Yeah.
Great. She told me about it last time that you guys showed up for the class to help out with the class, but then I meant to jump in and look, but then, you know, life happened.
The whole brain thing
Oh,
too.
yeah.
She did the whole.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's just a you know, research based treatment for trauma. And it's basically reprocessing the negative effects and beliefs that you have about yourself, and the ongoing things that are kind of in your brain from trauma that you've been through. So it's really good for anybody, like law enforcement, first responders, like people that have been through seen, witnessed traumatic things and stuff. Anything like that, it can really help with that.
Yes, we're talking about trauma. Lately, law enforcement has been learning a lot trauma-informed investigations and stuff like that. Because before, law enforcement didn't have that. And, we show up on scene and somebody say I was sexual assault, and you be like, okay, tell me what happened. Just straight up, without the realizing that all the chemicals have been released in the brain of the person dealing with trauma, she's not ready to talk about it. And way back in the days, we used to think, this person just lying, but the person not lying. They dealing with trauma and they're not ready to talk about it. And, and I tell some of my partners whenever I teach strangulation class, I was like, okay, whenever we deal with trauma as a police officer, officer involved shooting, they give us 72 hours to actually have 2 sleeping cycles before they conduct a full interview. Why don't we do the same with the victims? Because they just dealt with, with trauma. So they feeling the same way that, and they're not able to answer the questions, it seems like they lying at times. And, so trauma has been a big push right now as far as like trauma-informed training. So that's really good to have. Anything else that you guys would like to share with the people that will be listening to this interview? Why you guys turn and look at Eve? Is like Evie goes.
I do talk a lot, but I always like to tell people that this is a quote that we got from the CAC, which is our Child Advocacy Center. Justice is not equal healing. And so that's something that we also need to remember, that, sometimes like kind of the reporting things, and we talked about trauma, a lot of people sometimes need that for their healing process. So for example, there's a client that walked in that she was molested when she was 10 years old, and now she's 22 years old and is wanting a report. And that's very, like, as advocates and counselors and stuff, we understand that. And so some people may not understand it, like you said, but it is part of their healing process. And, we tend to victim blame sometimes, and, but
a lot.
And that we're all human. Like you said, there's a process, the trauma, you can't process it. And then it's just part of the healing process. And so that's something that I like to like remind people, justice is not equal healing. Even if they're not going to get the justice, it's going to be part of their healing process. And so that's something to keep in mind, especially, for all the law enforcement that are watching. Just always remember that, because that's something that I had to learn on my own, myself as an advocate. So
justice does not equal healing. That's really good. That's really good. And for me, like, I have 2 boys and a girl, and in a few years from now, my boys will be going to college. A few years later, my daughter will be going to college. Just this is a nationwide numbers whenever it comes to sexual assault is mind-blowing, and I'm like, my daughter may be a victim, my son may be a victim, or may be accused of something that he didn't do. So, just thinking about, justice does not equal healing is really good perspective, really good perspective. I appreciate you sharing that. And Laura, you look like you want to say something.
No, I disagree.
Hope. Anything else for the people who will be listening to us?
I think that's it.
That's
Thank
it.
you for having us.
Thank you for
Flores.
having
Like,
us.
thank you so
No,
much.
I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to have another conversation we got, because I know the subject is so, it's fast. We could be here for hours and just talk about
Right.
it. We could be here for hours.
We can talk about everything.
I know, and it's great, and I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a rest of a good afternoon, a great weekend, and we will be back and talk about, because I'm working on a women's only self-defense class which will benefit the Cross Timbers Family Service.
Oh,
So I've been
really?
talking with, yes, I've been talking with Laura about this for a while now, but like things now are, in place, so we will be able to do that, and I'm excited about that too.
We'll be there. After March, though, after having baby.
We're gonna wait until the baby gets here.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you guys, appreciate y'all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bless.
All right, bye-bye. Once again, thank you for the time and opportunity that you guys gave me to be here and talking to you guys. But Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which was launched nationwide in October 1987 as a way to connect and unite individual and organization work on the domestic violence issues while raising awareness for those issues. Over the past 30 plus years, much progress has been made to support domestic violence victims and survivors, to hold abusers accountable, and to create and update legislation to further those goals. So thank you again for joining me over here at 1018 Service Headquarters. Show me 1042. Till next time, I'm out.